Hey folks, welcome back. Artist Cycling, new painting. I'm Greig Leach, and as you may remember, I'm working on paintings that call back or are inspired by paintings of art history. Now this one, I'm really just using the title of Picasso's painting. You hopefully are familiar with Nude Descending a Staircase. And if you're familiar with that painting, it was Truman, I believe, maybe it was Ike, probably Truman, who referred to it as an explosion in a shingle shop, which is not an incorrect description of what the painting looks like. But it's Picasso's painting, so this time I'm just really using the title. And it's my wife Bridget descending the staircase with our dogs. She is clothed, obviously. Now, this is my second time trying to do this voiceover because I managed to do the whole thing, all 25 plus minutes of it, without recording. So, back again. That's why I was a little late getting this one up. It is Halloween night, or Halloween day, Halloween Eve. Eve of the Halloween Eve? I don't know how to call that. But, so I'm working on this painting and getting things laid out. I did shoot some video of the dogs walking down the stairs because I needed to, I felt like it wasn't right. And so you can see I'm now redoing Cleo's face. Thanks to Google Lens, we discovered a while back that Cleo is a Schmausshund, apparently a popular, although rare breed in the Netherlands. At one point, and now they've sort of been turned into a specific breed, but they were rejected blonde schnauzers. So the Wikipedia page says. Lovely little dog. She was a rescue from New York City with a tragic backstory, but she's a sweetheart and a very well-adjusted dog now. So working on her face, so I had originally had her looking, we were face on, but, the dog needs to look down to go down the stairs. And so it was wrong. So trying to get that fixed, starting there. And then Pippin below. Pippin wouldn't behave on camera for the walking down the stairs, but we got it figured out anyway. So just coming through and blending out, the Schmausshund is a blonde dog. That's why they reject it. So as you probably know, that Schnauzers are gray, some black. There are two different kinds. But blonde was not on the Schnauzer characteristics list. So blonde in my parlance is vermilion, yellow, a little bit of orange and white, which kind of blends her a little bit into the stairs, the wood stairs. So we'll make sure we solve that problem as we go along. Right now the stairs are just a darker orange, and that is the sunlit part of the stairs, of course. So we haven't done either the bull nose or the riser part of the stairs. But we are, working forward. And so Bridget has had multiple knee surgeries and cartilage issues due to kidney issues. She got both of the fun diseases, one from her father, the kidney disease, for which she has had a transplant, and our son is awaiting a kidney. So he just had both of his kidneys removed, so we're desperate to find a kidney for him. I am a kidney donor, so unfortunately that means I can't donate again. For some reason they don't want me to take him off of dialysis so that I go on dialysis. So if you're so inclined, leave me a message and I'll send you a link. Many of you know I paint the Tour de France, and the same day I did the donation surgery, I was painting. Not the best painting. The pain meds were a little strong the first day. But by the second day, I was back to a regular schedule of painting the tour. So it's a surgery, but it's not. And I have no, other than not being able to take ibuprofen, I have no knowledge that I ever did it. My body's completely moved on. So, the other part of that, so because to preserve her knees, we put in a stair chair, this little mechanical chair that rides up. So here I'm pulling out my sketchbook because I'm going to start working on Pippin. And I took some time. That's a sketch from the previous painting. So Cleo is 2 drawings of her, and then Pippin there, which is important to get that dachshund face. And the very classic crock in the nose, the low forehead. And the other there, it's a little hard to read, is Cleo, curled up in a ball. She sleeps on an ottoman besides Bridget's chair. They actually kind of compete for who gets that favored position. So now that I've re-looked, or refreshed my visual memory, I guess. So trying to get his brow a little more correct. So they're getting that sharp, low brow. Now he has a little stripe down the middle of his forehead. When we first got him from the SPCA, they were calling him Storm. And after we transferred his chip over to our name, we learned his original name was Potter. We had noticed he responded to a P sound. And of course, the lightning bolt down his forehead, I'm sure, is where the name came from. So that's how he got changed his name to Pippin. And for those of you that are truly into, I guess, fantasy literature, so Potter being Harry Potter and Pippin being one of the 4 hobbits in the Lord of the Rings, it seemed very consistent, and then had the necessary P to make him feel like his name hadn't been changed. So working on the long nose and the classic crook, his strong black nose, as well as the muzzle that's all in black, although he's getting old now. We believe he is just turned 16. Right about now, in fact. So just trying to, a little bit of the graying around the muzzle and the eyes. He's going to that point. But he is a black and white dog, very beautiful dog. So black and white in my palette is blue combined with vermilion or alizarin crimson. And then the white, of course, is, white. But we don't want it to be too stark of a white. So I'm just working through his face. A little bit of the brow, that green brow. Now, normally I record these while looking at the painting. Like, I record them in my studio, but the Wi-Fi isn't as strong there. So when I go to post it, I often continue painting and just set it on the back step so that it can load more quickly. But today I'm up in where my wife's junk journal studio, where I also set up and paint the tour and other bike races. So it's sort of I have a little desk in her studio. She, however, doesn't have a desk in mine. But we do store some of her stuff there, so it seems a fair trade. So you can notice there that I was just wiping off the top of the oil stick, and in particular this blue, because it's a little older. It's a phthalo blue, by the way. Oh, and here I'm opening up the videos. So there's Pippin. I'm just sort of reopened it. Yeah, he was supposed to run down the stairs on camera, but he started running before it started filming, so you could sort of make out that I was just looking at his markings. And of course, I'm looking back over. I mean, yes, I look at them all the time, but the particular pattern, I mean, on one side of the coin, there's no real reason for me to be worrying just exactly how he looks. But clearly I am. Because you'll never see him. Well, not never, but most likely. And this isn't, I'm not doing a pet portrait. Well, I sort of am. But that's not the intention behind this. But as he stands right now, so he also has, all of his paws are white with black leopard spots. He was once upon a time a breed dog. So when he was surrendered to the SPCA, he was still intact, which gives him some behavioral issues. I mean, dachshunds can be rather aggressive anyway, and distrusting. And he's even more pronounced as such. But he has mellowed considerably over the years. He's been part of the puppy tribe in this house for, well, since COVID lockdown. We got him right at the end of lockdown. So I don't know if you noticed a little piece of paper falling to the floor. That's, the white is wrapped in paper, and you have to keep peeling it back so it doesn't drag across the paint and just move the paint away. But simultaneously, you can't take all the paper off, particularly with the RF brand. In fact, only with the RF brand, because it's so, what's the word I want? In essence, like holding on to a slippery heel. Because the paint is so saturate and not as much binder, so it's much more painterly. You end up painting your hands every bit as much as the ground, so you have to leave the paper on so you can actually hold on to the darn thing, if nothing else. With the paint sticks, the Shiva brand, that skin tends to be a lot firmer, and simultaneously they are more translucent. They didn't used to be. The company sold, I got a lovely message from the owners that they had sold when Jack, because it's called Jack Richardson Art, when Jack decided to retire, the family decided to sell the company. And they changed the recipe a little bit. I haven't fussed at him about it, but to what end? So now working on his ear, and that up in there, the shadow up under the ear, and that's got a little bit of the vermilion, or again, alizarin crimson up underneath to make that just that much darker. And then dachshund ears in their heads, very short-haired, even on the long-haired dog. And the ears have lovely velvet fuzz and then fringe. The dog show, you always see that fringe just brushed out and cut to the perfect angle. Not for Pippin. He's more of a ragamuffin. We do need to brush him a little more than we do, but it's kind of like cyclists. I need to ride more than I do. Dog owners, I need to brush them more than I do, because it could always be more. And here's the other thing about using this blue. So you should always be aware of the complementary colors. I keep, although it's just above the painting, a little Roy G. Biv circle, which is R for orange, R for red, O for orange, Y for yellow, G for green, B for blue, V for vermilion. So, or purple. So, Roy G. Biv, or Roy G. Pip. So, and that way I can sort of pay attention to how the colors, because your eye wants to find the complement. That's why cardinals pop out so much in a nice summer foliage, because your eye is looking for that red, and that little teeny bit of red really pops. So, because we've already established one that Cleo is yellow-orange tones, and the floor, the wood, is all going to be orange tones, we're going to need blue to anchor that, or to complement it, to make it feel whole. And then that naturally, as you know, since I put Bridget in the green dress, we're going to need to find some red. And it doesn't have to be, in fact, shouldn't be, an equal balance of complementary color. That actually tends to flatten things. And you, like I said, you know, there's a lovely Hopper painting of a woman on a train, and it's all cool blue-green tones. And there's a little folder for jacket. And in the folder of the jacket, the seam under the lining is red. And it's one little teeny red triangle in this whole painting. And that's so you can use that kind of balance, just like that balance in nature I was just talking about. So now we're getting down into his paws, the white on his chest. And you can see there, while I was talking about that, I put a few little spots on his back. I'm thinking they may not be necessary. As you notice right now, I've stopped to look and think. And that's a big part of painting, is stopping and looking at it. There's many reasons I stand up. One, obviously, this painting is so big. But by standing, like if you're sitting down and painting, you're going to be less inclined to get up again. And you need to get up and step back. And also I like painting with it pinned to the wall, so I get a clear view of how you, the viewer, are going to see the painting. So it just helps me see and make decisions based on how the painting will appear. And I paint under the same track lighting that most galleries exhibit work under. So again, the color is controlled. I do have a problem when photographing, because I bring out some photography lights in it. My camera, actually my iPad, and the photography lights don't like each other, and I struggle to get the right balance of color. Also, you notice, and if you've looked at enough paintings, you'll know I like to break the edge of the picture plane, part of the reason why I don't paint all the way to the edge. So those Pauls will intentionally, so I'll paint the riser of the stair behind him, but not the tread of that final step. Of course, now I've moved on to painting Bridget's legs, and starting with that vermilion, and I will use, I'll leave just the hint of that red between the green and the legs, which will develop lighter toned. And it's what Wayne Thiebaud, look him up, Theibaud, called zips or pips of color. And he would paint something, but at that transition, there would be underpainting of the complementary color. And it really, again, enlivens, and you just need to look at his paintings up close. They are not as simple as they appear to be. And so, you know, the shadow of her knee in that purple, And then I'll work back into the calf, getting a little bit of it, but the light striking. And I've got some of the purple down the front side of her shin, but the part of the leg that's catching the light. And she has good, strong calves and fine, delicate ankles. So trying to convey that and show, so that's what that dark red going up is. But one of the things I get out of doing these videos is when I spend time really looking at the painting even more than I do while creating it, I kind of go, I might need to change that. And again, since I'm not sitting in front of the painting right now, I don't know if I ever did go back and change it. But I'll show you shortly here what I'm talking about. But just working through, taking the white now and bringing it down into the ankle bone, wipe it off, and go, oh, crap. So the problem with the rags and wiping is sometimes you wipe it right where you just wiped the blue. So that blue of the ankle. So now I've taken a blade out of a utility knife and scraped it off. And then put down the yellow again that I was going to lighten. Wipe it off again. And now blend that yellow and white. So trying to really show that ankle bone and catch that. And intentionally drag some of that purple that's already there into it. But then wipe it off before I get up here into this area of alizarin crimson and red and yellow to build the flesh tone of the upper half of the shin. But see, as I look at this now, that line coming up from the ankle bone and delineating the calf almost makes it feel like she's got a really thin yellow leg, and that other part of the calf is the leg behind. That's really fat. So that's what I get when doing these, is looking at this and going, yeah, when I get back to this painting, I need to change that. So again, take time. Look at your painting critically. Now with, of course, digital camera or digital phone camera so readily available, you can take a picture and then flip it in like mirror mode. And that gives you a great opportunity to see the painting for what it, well, without your prejudice of what you think you painted, because it kind of jars and you get a chance to look and see where you may have made assumptions. So pretty shortly here I'll switch to time-lapse again and take this painting a little further along. So I want to make sure to thank you all, and I would love to know what you think about either the commentary I'm giving you, the painting, oil sticks, or this whole idea of looking at paintings of art history. I've talked about it before, but I used to do this unintentionally, where I'd be halfway through a painting and go, this pose or this composition reminds me of a painting. Paintings I was very familiar with. So, starting last year, I went, well, why not do that intentionally? And so and that's the exhibition I have coming up at the Hoyt Arts Center in Pennsylvania, Newcastle, PA. It's going to open sometime mid-March, and that'll be all over my social media. So look for me on social media if you would. I'm Greig Artist over on Instagram. I forget what I am on TikTok, but I'm over there. Probably Greig's Art, as always. And of course, then you can all see all of my finished paintings over on my website, greigleach.com. And of course, after you leave a comment, if you're not already subscribed, I hope you will. So really working at getting that light striking the top of the newel post there, and then the planes that are facing me, getting them nice and dark. And that's kind of what will happen with the stairs as well. I do appreciate all of you who do leave comments and take time to let me know what you're thinking, and all of you who are following. Hopefully I'll hit that magic number where I can turn this into some revenue and get the algorithm all excited about me. So laying that newel post in, getting the darker oranges. This pale blue is the orange. Complement. Working on that rail a little bit. Make it a little more obvious. The baseboard.